SQL injection attacks. So what is SQL injection? Well, SQL injection is where we inject malicious SQL statements into a SQL database. These are super easy to avoid, but it still happens very often, and it happens due to poor code. We'll talk about that in the defense section. But if we're successful with a SQL injection attack, we're capable of reading databases, extracting information, modifying databases, and potentially we can even get a shell with this. So from here, let's go ahead and talk about some common SQL verbs. These are things you're going to be seeing and you should know. So feel free to take notes on this or just watch the first time through and then take notes the second time through. But these are common SQL verbs, and let's just cover these really quick. So every SQL statement begins with a verb. And for example, one you're going to see a lot of is select, and that's going to retrieve data from a table. Insert is going to add data to a table. Delete's going to remove data from a table. Update's going to modify a table. Drop is going to delete a table, very malicious. And union is going to combine data from multiple queries. And I'm going to give you examples of all these statements here in just a second. So there's some other common terms that we should know as well. So we could say where, and that's going to filter records based on specific conditions. You're going to see an example of this. There's and or not, which is going to filter based on multiple conditions. So we have one condition and another condition, or another condition, or not a condition. Similar to when we were talking about Python earlier, same logic. And then we have an order by as well. So this is going to sort records in ascending or descending order. Now there's a lot more terms than this, but these are the very, very common ones and ones you should know. So let's look at an example. Let's say here that we have a SQL table, and the table is called users. And we have 5 users in this table. Now we've got Frank and the username here, Frank, full name, Frank Castle, email, punisher@marvel.com, and the country they belong to. So what's going to happen when we say select from, and then we say users? Okay, well, we're going to select star from users. So star is a wildcard. And this here is an end statement when we have the semicolon. That's ending the statement. So we're just going to say select wildcard from users, meaning select everything from users. So if we select everything from users here, we're going to select this entire table. If we want to select user ID and username from users, well, guess what? We're going to just pull down this column and this column. So we'll pull down user ID and username, and we won't pull down any information from here. If we wanted to select every single thing from the users table where a condition applies, say country equals Russia, well, then we're only going to pull out Natasha here, the Black Widow. Or let's try one more. If we select everything from users where the country is the US and username equals Frank, well, the US will pull down all of these, right, except Natasha. And then we also set the condition of Frank, so it's only going to pull down this first column here. So with that all being said, let's quickly talk about special characters you're going to see in SQL. So you saw an example of a few here. We had string delimiters. Again, we have a single quote or double quote, right? And what that does is that's just for a string, similar to coding. And a lot of this logic is like programming logic. We have comment delimiters. So we have a dash dash, which you're going to see here very soon. We have a /* asterisk, and we have the pound sign. So again, feels like coding, right? And this is just another type of language. So we have wildcards. You saw the asterisk. We also can use the % symbol for a wildcard. We have the end of a SQL statement, which is a semicolon, as you saw in the last slide. And then we have a bunch of programming logic. So we have equal signs, plus signs, greater than, less than, parentheses, and you can put things into programmatic logic. So that's it here. What we're going to do next is we're going to dive in the application and make a lot more sense of this and what's going on. We'll talk about how to test for this and some different options that we can do. So let's look at SQL injection and talk about the different types of SQL injection and see what we have available to us.